Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm Chris, and today I want to do a little follow-up video on my 2017 Subaru Forester winter tire setup. This is the third year that they're going on, and I just want to show you an issue that you might run into going forward when you're swapping on your winter tires for the season. I installed the winter tire setup the other day, and I torqued the lugs down to 89 pounds per foot. You can see that some of those lugs are not all the way seated, even though I torqued them all the way down. It's because I think these lug nuts are rusty, and so are the studs. I'm going to show you how to fix this issue so that these lug nuts seat themselves 100% when they're torqued down to the spec. Get your tire and wheel jacked up off the ground. Grab yourself a 19mm socket, preferably a 6-point, and grab yourself an impact wrench. It makes your life a whole lot easier, and honestly, this is one of the best purchases I've ever made and one of my favorite tools. Trust me when I say you'll want to get one of these. It just saves you so much time and energy. See, they shouldn't really be that difficult to take off. So this is really a 3-step process. First step is to take a wire brush and clean these studs off. The second step is to apply a little anti-seize to the studs. We're going to brush this on. And then the third step is to take your lug nuts and thread them on with the anti-seize without the wheel, just so we can work them on without difficulty. Now we're going to take some of this Permatex anti-seize. You want to mix it up first, and it's got a little brush on the end of it. Can't really tell, but that is a brush. And then we're going to just apply anti-seize to each one of these stud threads. Take each individual lug nut, work them on. You can see that one was, this one right here is tough to get on just by itself. Some of them will be a little bit harder than others. Some will go on just fine. Now take note of which ones go on easy. You really won't have to address them. Try to bottom them out, and then take note of the ones like this one, which are super difficult to get on. You could do one of two things. You could take a breaker bar like this one here and put your 19mm socket on it. Because we're at the rear right now, you'll want to put your e-brake on. With the e-brake set now, you can work these lugs on without going too crazy. You don't want to strip anything, and you'll know when you're using too much force. You'll probably have one stud and nut combo that go all the way down to the bottom, like this one right here. And I'll give you a closer look, and you can see how far down that sits compared to some of these other ones, which are already, a decent amount of effort. We have a ways to go on them. And the whole point of doing this is so that when we get our wheel mounted and we torque these lug nuts, that we're actually torquing the lug nuts onto the wheel and not against the rust on the stud and the nut. With our breaker bar and 19mm socket, we're going to go ahead and, without using too much force, we're going to tighten these down and work them without stripping them and without too much force, so we can get them to a point where we can actually torque them properly against the wheel. So if you have some that are super difficult, what you can do is remove the lug nut and go ahead and apply a little more anti-seize. It's very important that you never get any of this anti-seize on your brake rotor, because then your brakes won't really work. See, that's going on a lot easier now. Be sure to take note of how far you have to go compared to one that has functioned properly. You can easily get to the 89 pounds per foot before you're even putting pressure against the wheel. I think we've worked this one pretty good in comparison to this one down here. You can see it's really close. Might give it a few more turns to get that to seat fully. I'm actually going to cheat a little bit here and set this to the first setting all the way to the left. We can take our breaker bar to get a feel for how the torque is on these, and we can torque them a little bit more. And for the most part, they all look pretty good. That's how far they all are down. I'm pretty happy with that because with the breaker bar, I don't even think I'm hitting 50 foot-pounds yet. We'll be able to get the wheel on here now and torque those lugs to their proper torque setting against the wheel. We can spin these off now and get our wheel mounted. I tried to put the lug nuts in the same orientation on the ground as they are mounted. Might make your life a little easier. I try to get that centered, get these on as quick as possible so you're not awkwardly holding this with your foot like I am. And instead of using the impact, I like to use the breaker bar to lightly torque these down. It's more like a snug than a torque. And obviously you always want to use a star pattern. So we'll get these evenly and lightly snugged up. And then we can lower that off the jack. Then take our torque wrench and set that to 89 foot-pounds. And in a star pattern, and that's it. I'll take you in for a closer look to see how they're all sitting almost toward the end. I'm going to take you to the other side where you can see ones that I have to work with. So that, I mean, for the most part, they look pretty good. But this one specifically, that's not seated all the way. There's a big gap in there. And you can see that there's a little bit of a gap around where it sits as well, compared to all the other ones. So I'll be working on this side next. Just to give you a little color on this, I had installed these a couple days ago and I noticed a little vibration and a little noise in the back end. And so that led me to believe that there was something wrong with the installation that I had just done and not the car itself. Took a closer look and then I could see that those lugs weren't sitting 100% even though I torqued them all down again to 89 foot-pounds. Anyway, I hope this video helped you out. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if it did. Also, feel free to subscribe so I know to make more videos like this. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you on the next one. And here's some bonus footage for you. I was going over all of the wheels and I came across this one in the front and you can see a huge gap, and that lug nut is pretty much doing nothing. And you can see there's a huge gap inside there as well, and it's not even seated against the wheel.